From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training podcast. We're back. We've had a big weekend. Well, not this part of not the hosting part of but our guest part of Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicki.
And I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Audra.
And we still suck at doing intros, but it's okay. It's fine. We have a guest. Let's see. Last week was a GLTC race at Lime Rock, so he's still putting up with us. He still takes our calls. He responds to our text. He sends us very cool pictures. Nick Barbato, welcome back.
Woo woo! Stoked to be here. My voice is still not completely back, so apologize if it cracks or otherwise sounds weird.
That's all right.
Stoked to be here, though.
The older listeners will refer to this as a Bobby Brady moment, but that's fine. So Miss Vicki, what were the nicknames that Nick got on the broadcast that you wanted to bring to the attention of him? Because I'm pretty sure.
I died when they said it. They refer to you as the hometown hero.
Yeah.
because Lime Rock is local to Nick, obviously. So that came across, and I think when the announcer had said that, and I have to say that it was towards the end of the race when you guys were really it probably was like 10 laps, 20 laps down.
10 laps.
Yeah. Right. But and the announcer had referred to him as that, and I think I busted up in my chair, and I'm like, that tracks.
Heck yeah, I do. I love it. And for your first time listener, that car is Connecticut registered and insured, fully legal. I leave the plate on it when I race it. So,
do you have an easy pass in there?
Plate. Let's go.
Do you have your easy pass when you're racing too, or?
Do not have an easy pass. No,
right.
No, yeah, because it's always on the back of a trailer. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. You probably get billed twice now in Connecticut.
I've had that happen before and written many disgruntled letters.
Yeah, I can't drive two cars at once, guys. So let's see. We've got a variety of experiences for this weekend. I don't think Audra was able to catch any. Vicki and I weren't able to go. We were supposed to go, but Vicki was coming off of a cold that knocked her down for 2 weeks, and we didn't feel like sharing our gifts with any friends and potentially getting them sick. And then Santa Jeremy, you got the up close seat. What were you doing this weekend?
I was hanging out down at Lime Rock Park with Nick.
Mm-hmm.
You were chewing crew?
BSF crew.
Were you chewing crew?
I was part of the crew. We tried to do all the car things for Nick so he could focus on racing and being relaxed for that racing endeavor.
And it was awesome and much appreciated.
All right. Well, that's all we wanted to talk about. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for a great episode.
I have to say, that was the craziest race that I think I've seen in a long time.
Which one?
All of them.
Like the last one that Nick had taken.
Okay. So let's start with the first one, though.
Go ahead.
So another reason we didn't go is the forecast was 80% rain and 50% rain the next day. So walking around Lime Rock Park getting soaking wet with her coming off a cold was not it. So Nick, how good were the forecasts for the weather there? They were spectacular.
Yeah, it was maybe rain on Thursday, and there were a couple drops on the test day. So the Thursday test day, and then there was Friday. Friday was probably going to be okay, but maybe a little something. And then Saturday, it was looking like, the whole week, like we were going to get ready for rain. So I had the rain tires ready. I did some scrubs on the test day, and ready to go for rain. I would not have been upset if it was rain either, because rain is fun. Nikki likes rain.
Oh,
Yes, and there was none. None.
There
So
was
thank
none.
you. Thank you,
It was
Mr.
totally
Weatherman.
dry.
Yep.
So Nick,
Beautiful.
you had a bunch of people with you at Santa Jeremy. You
I
had
did. I had
your beautiful
Jeremy, and
bride. Who
that's
else was there?
right. Yeah. We had Kyle Turns. Kyle Turns is a badass ST5 driver in NASA NE. I've been coaching him for a little while, and we've become great friends as well. So he was there. He brought the tent and a number of other things. Him and Jeremy, and also my good friend Pat Huxley. He's a local guy all across. We've been friends for almost a couple decades, and he knows a lot about Lime Rock. And he was there to help as well. It was on the spot with restrictor plate changes and making sure tire pressures were set, checking oil. The whole crew did everything, worked together. And then just for some other support, my identical twin brother Joey Barbato came with my nephew, 5-year-old Vincent, and my wife Amy. So yeah, we had the whole gamut covered. It was by far the most lowest stress weekend from a physical standpoint. I mean, we were swapping tires. They did multiple tire runs. The weekend would not have been like it was without them there. So, and it made it all the more special having them there, considering how the weekend went.
Do you really feel like that impacted your performance? Just have all of that taken out of your mental sphere and know that it's taken care of?
I think it did. Because I had a tough go at Road Atlanta. Long trip down there. It had someone kind of there helping me, but I for the first time in my life forgot to hook up my transponder and lost my qualifying times, and so there's so many things to manage. Not I found myself at the end of the day wanting to relax and have a good time and be social. It sort of it allowed me, I hate to sound cliche, but it allowed me to like live in the moment and sort of experience the fun and the joy of the weekend a lot more instead of being exhausted at the end of the day. I'm so grateful for that, because one of the things I wanted to do this weekend was do that, to try to live in the moment a bit more and enjoy it instead of just being focused on executing, and having the crew there allowed that to happen.
So
that's incredible.
wait, I'm puzzled. You're saying that being with Jeremy helped you?
Jeremy!
Wow.
He is a
I
hugger, right? So,
he's a hug.
Yeah,
I
he's a
like to hug
hugger.
too. Actually, after the race for sprint win, I jumped into Jeremy's arms and gave him a big bear hug, and he was easily able to support all 190 pounds of sweaty Nick Barbato. So yeah, he's very very strong, like bull, like
Strong like
ox.
bull. and we're not just talking smell either. We're talking.
Right.
Jeremy,
That's
this is
awesome.
what you miss when you're traveling so much. We don't get to pick on you.
I know. I miss that the most.
I know. Got to take our shots when we get them with you being so fleet.
So fleet.
Oh, he's got to be fleet at
No
something.
fleet.
That's
So Nick, home track, hometown hero kind of guy, how was the track this weekend? Is anything new to report? Any changes? Was it pretty much standard?
Nothing new to report. I mean, it was slower. I will run consistently in the low to mid 57-second range there on most sessions when it's a clean, cool day. The track always slows down with GLTC, and I think that's for a number of reasons. But the mixture of rubber, you have nonstop cars going full tilt, laying rubber down, and we didn't get too hot, but it was warm enough so that it could get a little bit greasy, and that slows it down. Having the drift cars there as well, sliding around, knocking stuff online, offline, that definitely slows the track down. But we did get a good session on Saturday morning for the race 2 start, where we all went low 57s. I did a 57.4, which at the time was a lap record and fastest lap of the race, which is about on track for how the car will do usually in GLTC trim. So yeah, Mostly overall slower, but yeah, we had a good session on Saturday morning.
So did Andy end up breaking that later, or did you retain the rear wheel drive?
Um, I went faster than EMAG in race two. I'm not sure if I went faster than Smedgard though. I'd have to double check that. I'd
I
have to
think
double check
Eric has the overall and front wheel. I think you still have
that.
rear wheel though.
Does. Okay. All right. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Not that I took a
It was a good
snapshot and
lap.
sent it to you. I was like,
Okay. All right.
just making sure. I didn't see one go by because I was paying attention. But
I'll be sure to brag about that on the internet for sure.
that's okay. It is, I'll have to do my homework and make sure. But it was,
Uh,
I
okay.
think Eric took it, but I think you might still have rear wheel. It's between you and Andy, I believe.
All right. All right.
All right. So Friday. Well, you did Thursday practice, right? Is Thursday practice where you qualify, if I remember?
No, no. So that was just a test day. That was like a
Okay.
local Lime Rock hosted test day. Yeah. Yeah.
And then Friday qualification, how did that go? Because it's usually a challenging qualification because you got a bunch of cars on a pretty short track.
Yeah, and I did. Unfortunately, I did get a little bit balked. I made sure not to complain about that though, because everyone has to deal with traffic. But the way that these Maxxis tires play out, fantastic tires are on the Maxxis VR2, but it's like one lap, maybe two, and if you don't get it done in those first two, you're not going to do it again. So unfortunately, I was on for like a couple tenths faster lap and I hit traffic right in sector three, and
Oh,
that kind of killed it for me. So even if you go, off of live data or whatever, even if we'll call it 0.15, it really should have been like a P3 type of qualification. Then I had to go back and try to improve and improve. Like I did my fastest time like in the middle of the session, long before past tire prime. So luckily, I still managed P6, which was I forget exactly the lap time I did, but it was less than a tenth off of P3, which gives you some idea of of how quick the car was.
it's kind of sharp and tight on the pointy end there.
It is. It is. It is. Yeah. Which ended up setting me up for a good battle in race one. I was able to have a good start and get around Sam Scott, really quick driver in a yellow NC Miata, and then ran down Mr. Matt Wallbaum in a killer ASM S2000. Got a run on him on the downhill exit, nice little slipstream, and then a late braking duel into T1. I was actually kind of bummed because that was an awesome move that they didn't really get on the live stream, but
Yeah.
I'll post some in-car video. But yeah, then after that, it weirdly was me, Andy, and the two Erics kind of in our own zip code all weekend.
Yeah.
Heck of a battle.
It seemed like you could throw a tablecloth over the four cars, and who's ever in the front is probably not going to be passed, and
Yeah.
who's ever in the rear is going to be struggling to get by because passing was
Mhm.
at a premium because you guys, the track is tight, the race cars are, I mean, pretty much balanced. I mean, some are better in certain spots, but overall it tends to be the same, and the drivers are great. So you guys had a good time, it looked like.
It was, especially with a couple of the maybe little quicker cars carrying a little bit of extra weight, and I was only carrying 1%. They were carrying 3, 4, 5% depending on the car, and it was nip and tuck. I mean, just awesome driving all around. You can race those guys with confidence, all of them. Andy and both of the Erics, obviously aside from Eric's desperate lunge there at the end. It was just killer driving. There's always respect there too. I can race Andy, Emag, and Kutil and know that it's going to be right on the limit. And maybe even probably make most other drivers uncomfortable, but they have the ability to place their car on the limit in places, and they're going to respect the rules of engagement. And it's just a real pleasure. It was an absolute blast to basically throw down for an hour straight with those guys across four races. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty tight. So came out of qualifying sixth, first race, made it to fourth, if I remember right.
P4, yes, sir.
All
Yep.
right. And then second race is by finish order, if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
And then how did second race go? Second race was Saturday?
Yeah, that was the first race on Saturday was the second race.
Yeah.
So I started P4 and I think I finished P4, right? I think all over the back of, and yeah, I was taking shots at Andy in the long run. Couldn't find a way to get by him. Had a couple runs on him exiting the uphill into West Bend, but couldn't really make it stick. And his car has enough legs on the straight on my car, or even if I would get runs on the downhill, it wasn't enough to get by him. My car is the slowest accelerating car after 100 miles an hour compared to all three of those cars. So if I didn't have I would have had like a massive run. They would have had to make a major mistake exiting the downhill to have a run into one. So, kind of stuck, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
It still makes it fun.
Oh,
Mhm.
it was a blast. Uh, if it was half as exciting watching as it was in the car, just enjoying it, it was a great experience.
So, just in case people didn't get to see it, we've got four cars battling it out in the front. You've got an E36 BMW with the standard stock engine driven by you.
S52,
You've
S52,
got
and a stock transmission.
you've got a first gen BRZ FRS uh, with a second gen BRZ FRS engine by Andy.
Yep, yep,
You've got an E46, so a little bit newer with a not German engine in the front of it, driven by Eric
LS3.
Magnuson.
Hmm.
And then you've got, wow, a K-swap Civic that is far, far, far from stock and pretty custom, driven by one Mr. Catil.
That's right, and also the transmissions are important. So Erica Teal has a fully built, custom gear ratio, spec'd out, fancy short ratio racing transmission. EMAG has a standard, I think, Getrag in it, but runs his car. His car makes such flat power, basically makes 230 horsepower from like 3,500 RPM to 7,500 RPM, perhaps even lower RPM than that. So he actually sets his car up to where he never has to shift. He literally does not have to shift. All right. And
It's almost
then
the same.
and then Smedgard also has a custom gear ratio transmission in that car with a lot of aero development. He has a flat floor on that car, and a couple of other really trick aero bits. So his car was really, really killer in the downhill.
So does he get the award for well, I don't know, you might have to talk to Eric too. So it's between Andy and Eric, as far as I can tell, as best driver wrencher combo. They're both
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's close. They both definitely deserve all the accolades for build quality and expertise.
Yeah.
I don't even know who I would pick. Obviously Eric has a ton of time into that car.
Yeah.
He's the TC Civic, master. Although, let's give credit to Andy, who has built a multitude of cars in different classes.
Yeah.
And obviously he has his own shop that he built from the ground up. So
And
tough
multiple
call.
cars in each race too. So it's
Yeah,
not like he's sitting around in between looking at data, kicking back. So he's prepping
right,
cars.
right.
So
Massive respect to those guys.
I know that we always make the joke about you and Eric Catil being twins and not being seen in the same spot. We do have pictures to prove that you do exist as separate independent bodies, but I don't think we ever told you the story. We wanted to get Eric on the podcast, right? So we send him this email because all we wanted was to have Eric on the podcast because we saw his Instagram where he was posting all this work that he was doing to his car, even the one prior car. We had no idea that he could drive. It was just the way he was doing it, and we were trying to learn from it. And it was just like, oh, that's how we should have done that. We didn't do it that way, and then all of a sudden I find out that he's like GLTC champion like once over at that time, and it's just
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
oh, he can do that too. Oh, okay. Feelings of inadequacy set in. Yeah, yep, they're here. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Proof that there's aliens.
Yeah.
Anyway. Anyways. All right. So race 3, you're coming out fourth. Uh wait, was race 3 by
Race 3 is by lap time.
lap time? Best lap time of race 2. That's right.
So I started third
So we
for race.
started third. So
Yeah.
got a free lap, got some good time in. How did race 3 go?
Race three went great. Um, Basically, it was Smedgard trying to scamper away from Kutil.
Yep.
Coutil all over him, unable to get by. Great defense by Andy.
You got to watch that, I remember.
I got to watch that, and I still had fresh tires to run, so I was all over the back of Coutil, kind of waiting for an opportunity to take a shot at Coutil after defending very hard against EMAG and defended multiple times against EMAG. And then once I broke away from EMAG, that allowed me to catch back up to Andy and Coutil. And maybe 10 car lengths, I closed that gap down in a few laps and was all over the back of Coutil. So I definitely had the race pace on Andy there. Again, having still running myself a fresh set of tires. Eric Coutil was on stickers every single race, every session.
Wow, that
Um,
helps.
yeah, that helps, especially when you run the Falcon 660 Plus. So
Especially front
Coutil
wheel
all,
drive too.
that's right. Coutil all over the back of Smedgard, and I ran them both down. I think, of course, if Eric was in clean air, would not have been able to get him, but came up on the back of them, then got balked by them. And then that allowed EMAG to get back up to me and catch up to me. And then on the last lap of the race, we hit lap traffic. That balked Andy and Coutil and then balked me. And then I got a kind of meh run through the downhill with EMAG right behind me. And that big old LS was just enough to run me down and pit me at the line by 0.028 seconds.
So he blew you away by a massive margin.
Yeah, big old LS got me again.
Yep.
Was
Son of
that
a
enough
gun.
for you to tell, or did you have to wait for scoring?
I knew. Yeah, Eric Magnuson didn't know, but I was able to look down at the bricks, the start finish line,
Yeah,
and I said to myself, well, if that's what they're doing, timing and scoring, he got me by a nose.
I'm in
Yeah.
trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when they all went into in to get weighed and all that stuff, then EMAG was asking me, he's like, "Did I get him? Did I get him?" It's just he was unsure it was that close. Like it was
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I will say real quick, the crazy part about Nick and his car, right, is he is definitely the underdog. His car is the underdog car in all of these cars. There's cars that are behind him that should technically be faster than his car. But what Nick does is he doesn't fall off like all the other drivers. So if you watch lap times, right? Nick starts out consistent and then he gets faster as the race goes on, and he stays at a very, very consistent pace. That's why he's able to catch those guys that have more power and they get a little ahead of him at the very beginning. He catches them because he doesn't fall off like the other cars do. It's just his driving style, the way he drives, and the car and the setup and everything. It's just all one, and he just does that. So that's why he's able to chase those cars that are faster, technically faster, down near the sixth, the seventh, the eighth lap, and battle with them because he doesn't fall off like the other drivers do.
Thank you. Yep, that's an excellent point, and that is a key function of my driving and a skill that I've tried to develop, and I set the car up to be that way as well. Someone asked me about this yesterday. Boy, if these races were 25 minutes long, you would probably see a different outcome, and that is because of driving style and setup. So yeah, it's thanks for the acknowledgement. I think the announcers mentioned that too as well. So yeah, and I think honestly that's all I have, at least in the current state of tune of the car versus these other, more overdog cars. Is I'm not going to beat them on raw pace with the car. If I'm going to beat them, it's going to be on racecraft, smart decisions, tire management, etc. Maximizing the package from lap one to the final lap, not just for, the first few laps.
All right.
Even
So
just talking about trust too, like these other drivers and you trust them because you know that where they're going to be and how they're going to act, right? Does that factor into your ability to, be that fast and be competing with them?
Well, it doesn't impact my ability to drive and set up the car that way, but so where that comes into play is in the overtaking. So if I'm going to try to make an overtake or defend, I know I can race those guys like real pros, let's say, and I use the term pro to define the quality of the driver, not their ability to write a check and say I go rate, I race an IMSA or SRO, right? So when I say pro, I mean quality of driver, and these guys are pro quality drivers, in my opinion. So when I can race, when I race Andy or Emag or Katil, whether it's attacking or defending, they're gonna race according to the rules of engagement. GLTC has a specific overlap rule which says you are obligated to give a one car width racing room if they have claimed that line, basically before the braking zone, or it could occur after the braking zone if they arrive in the braking zone in a way where a driver could reasonably expect to have to leave space, right? So meaning you can't just dive bomb someone that's already committed on their line, turning in, and then you hit them. Not to knock Mr. Eric Catil, all good, but right, like what Eric Catil did to Emag, right? There might have been a gap that appeared for a moment in the left-hander. He's under pressure for a championship. He took a calculated risk. He made a mistake. All good, right? That's why he got the penalty. There'd be no reasonable expectation of Eric Magnuson to open up the door to avoid Eric Catil hitting him, right? But yeah, in terms of like tire conservation and being able to race a full race distance on the limit, yeah, I guess having the trust and faith, right? That your competitors are going to race you on the same terms. It does allow you to do things that maybe you otherwise wouldn't do. That's kind of one of the things I love about grid life. And the TC class, and if you want to maybe watch the clip or later, but that race 4 battle that I had with Katil, where we went side by side for 3/4 of a lap. He obviously completed the overtake, but to me, that was so enjoyable. It's like that was a master class in how to race, win or lose, right? If you can battle hard right on the limit. We went deep into the left-hander, trail braking. We both rotated our cars like mini drifts at entry. It was like in unison. It was like a tandem drift that we had planned. But because we both were attacking and defending slightly offline and taking constrained arcs, our natural trail braking, both of our cars pitched like it was like perfect on camera.
Oh, wow.
And we went right through the left-hander and the right-hander, giving each other just enough room and not an inch more to go side by side. And of course, the pass concluded on the uphill, which he was going to get anyway. But yeah, so I guess that's a long-winded explanation of saying yes, you can only race like that if you can trust and in your fellow competitors to race along the rules of engagement and have the skill to execute that under extreme pressure.
That was crazy watching that. That was so freaking intense. Like we were on the edge of our seat watching that.
It was awesome. And you know what? I had there was like no doubt in my mind that that was going to be executed cleanly and fairly because that is how Andy and both of the Erics drive. Again, Eric Gatil made a mistake. All good, it happens. And I actually have a comment on that too. I want to share before the end of the podcast as far as the end race result, but I'll just table that for a moment.
Now, real quick, let me step in here real fast too. Watching from the outside, being there for the whole weekend, and watching most of the series play out throughout the year. Now, Nick is really talking about those three because those are the three racers that Nick is constantly racing. So he's typically, when Nick's at a race weekend, he's typically up at the front of the pack, right? That's what he does, right? So now, to be fair to every other racer in that series, like Nick said earlier, it's a bar fight in the middle of the field. And those guys are racing exactly the same way. So like if Nick had to start P15, work his way up through the field up to, second, third, whatever it is, he can trust those other drivers as well because everybody that's racing in that series for the most part has that knowledge and that know-how, and they're becoming better drivers every single time they get on track. So everybody is racing each other very similarly to that. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I would probably argue that it would not be, a cakewalk to go from 16 to 4 either. And I mean, it's probably going to be tough to get past 12.
Right, but I'm just using that as an example. Like Nick could go
No,
side
I
by
mean,
side
they're
with
not that much
someone,
slower.
they're all very, very good drivers in terms of knowing and understanding the rules and being able to race side by side. Obviously at a different level, right? The top four, and I'm gonna brag on Nick a little bit because he is absolutely amazing, right? The top
Because
four, they
he
are
won't
in a
do it.
little bit different level than the rest of the field, but that doesn't take away from how the rest of the field races as well.
Yeah.
thanks, Jeremy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
So Nick, is it in your opinion, because you've done both, is it harder to pass in a GLTC event or limits?
Wow.
What kind of question is that?
You know what? It depends on the car of the battle. I mean, we talked about it before. I had like a 9-lap battle that would never end with the flood staying up at New
Yep.
Hampshire Motor Speedway, on my little, Volkswagen Fox with no ABS and a solid rear axle and no front sway bar, inside tire wheels spinning up the hill. I mean, and he was defending like it was the F1 World Championship. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they still drive like that, just so you know.
Yeah. So the other dumb
yeah.
question I had related to lemons, can you imagine what position you'd finish in at GLTC if you pass as many cars as you do in a lemons race?
Yeah, you'd finish, negative 150.
I mean, that's more cars than Audra passed in autocross history.
We're back to that.
Yep.
Because Nick, you don't pass anybody at autocross.
Nope.
Next, he's
Right.
going to be calculating the amount of time
autocrossers
that you spend.
If you pass somebody in autocross, you've done something wrong, Audra.
Hey, I tried to advocate for a new special autocross series, which was like a toge series, where you could like earn a comp license and you could start behind someone and do a full autocross run where you actually were allowed to overtake and like set up corners where you could make dive bomb moves and stuff. Yeah, it'd be cool, why not?
Be hilarious. I love it. You need to make that happen.
You just need to spread it out a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe I
Cones
will
might not
make
be
it
quite so
happen.
closely spaced, I think. So, Audra, do you know anybody who runs an autocross series that could possibly help us, Nick, with his goal?
I hear that everybody's retired.
We brought you over too early to the dark side. Okay, that's fine. So, Miss Vicki had a question that she texted me. So, Miss Vicki.
Yes, let me pull that up real quick. So, hold on just a sec.
Okay.
So your post-race changes and next season ideas. What do you got?
Oh, sorry. I just hit a button. Post-race changes. Well,
What did we learn from this race?
So the two big things are this is if I decide to stick with this car, it is going to be if I may change yes, I may change chassis. If I change chassis, it would be to a Honda S2000. So
no Hondas, no Hondas, no Hondas, no Hondas, no Hondas.
From a rear wheel to a front wheel?
No.
They're both rear.
Front engine, rear wheel drive Honda S2000.
Okay.
Yeah, which is God's gift to production-based race cars, having won multiple national championships with them. They're amazing. So that would be.
So you'd rather have that than like an 86 or BRZ?
I would still take the S2000 as the superior chassis to the BRZ. Yes, because it's front and rear double wishbone suspension, like real, like
that's true.
Like car inspired double wishbone, and yeah, it's amazing. So that would be one option.
Okay.
The other option would be if I stick with this car, this is what it will be. It will be a S54 and it will be a much shorter gear ratio and it will be flat tuned and it will have an MK60 ABS system. And that will be a serious, serious machine.
So you're
That
going
will
to have
be
an
The way it's going to have,
E41.
it's going to have
What's
an
that?
MK60 anyway, because I got a spare one for you.
So
okay.
why would you entertain the idea of changing a chassis since you're doing so well with this one?
Because the short answer is this has been an amazing experience. I love running the underdog car in the battles, but now I would like to have a car that is at least on equal performance with the front runners because that would be a special thing to do.
Nick's car is not on equal performance with the front runners. Nick is equal performance to the front runners, not the car. The car is very much an underdog car.
Oh,
Yes.
If you put most other drivers, and no offense to other drivers, if you put most other drivers in Nick's car, they're going to be P12, P11 at best with his car.
Now tell the audience what a P 11 and P12 mean.
11th or 12th place on the grid.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
the raw pace of the car, if you were to put all of the drivers as equal, like artificial intelligence drivers getting the maximum out of the car, my car would be maybe the 11th or 12th fastest car, maybe even slower than that, just on
So
like raw pace.
so that is pretty much known in GLTC that your
Yes.
car is an underperformed car.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah. So to kind of give you an idea,
Is
my
that
car,
what made Lime Rock so crazy?
that is part of what made Lime Rock so crazy. Yes, was the overperformance of the car relative to really where it should be. So I'll give you this, like under NASA ST5 rules, which is a rule set that is fundamentally created upon creating the most fair rule set to equalize the performance of the cars. My car gets bonuses for having a mechanical throttle body because all the other cars get to run in GLTC. The other cars that are in front of me run electronically variable controlled throttle bodies that allows them to truly flat tune, to have a flat power band. That is a significant advantage in terms of acceleration, is one of the reasons why my car is so slow on the high speed relative to them. So you get a bonus for a mechanical throttle body in ST5. You get a penalty for front double wishbone suspension, and a couple of other things. To give you an idea, my car gets to run like 150 pounds lighter than the rest of the cars by default. And the E36 M3 is still one of the slowest cars in ST5. The fastest car in ST5 is a Honda S2000, which has to carry roughly a 170-pound weight penalty relative to my car, and it's still faster.
Hmm.
There are no such rules in the GridLife Touring Cup.
So you
No,
want to
because
get
it's
in
a power
trainer
to
too?
weight
Then?
ratio.
Right.
You want to get in trainer too? Is that what you're telling me, Nick?
I have seriously considered buying Matt Walbaum's car or inquiring about the other S2000, Trainer 2 or 3 actually. However, at this point, because of a certain love and affection I have for my car and just the challenge of doing it in an E36, I really would love to put an S54 on my car. That would be amazing. It would also create a car I could run in NASA ST4 and be a monster in ST4. So that's probably where it's going to go.
How many other vehicles already carried that platform like that? Is it just because that you would have to drastically modify your car, or is it because you try to find the right way of putting it? Is it because your car would potentially be maxed out right now? Like,
yes. So
how much alteration do you have to do to it? I mean, I know you ran all these things you have to do. How intensive of that switch would that be?
sure. So my car right now basically is like what you saw at Lime Rock was like the max. was like the maximum potential of what an S52, a stock S52 engine with a stock ZF 5-speed transmission was capable of in terms of gear ratio, flat tuning. I spent days on the dyno, McPherson suspension. Bill has a question.
Now, I'm trying to remind Vicky when she drove the Deadpool car at Charlotte, that was
Mhm.
a not as dialed in version of what Nick's driving now versus the
Right.
E46 we have, which is naturally faster because it's got the next generation engine and a next generation suspension.
Right. Okay.
Right. Right. So in ST5, there are rules that more or less require you to keep the original transmission, and only engines of a certain displacement and max power, as well as average horsepower and suspension modifiers, because they recognize that, an old BMW McPherson strut car does not have the more let's say as optimal camber curve as a modern double wishbone car. So they know that, and they give little more equalizers to make it fair. There's no such rule in GLTC. So my car, well, then I will have to modify it. The S54 plus short gear ratio and the improved ABS, because still have a stock ABS system. All these other cars run fancy, motorsports oriented ABS. I have a stock 1998 Mark, MK20 ABS system. All that stuff adds up to big time.
Right.
Just the gear ratio alone would be multiple tenths of a second, because I could go for example a 391 gear right now to like a 430 gear ratio. And for the folks listening, just do some internet AI searching on any car, what type of like a quarter mile advantage just going from those two gear ratios would make. That alone might have been enough to win Lime Rock. But the S54 gives me another 1,000 plus RPM to work with. That's why I could shorten up the gear ratio so much.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to detune it so you can flat tune that thing so he has max power and max torque for a much longer period of time.
Exactly. So with my S52 right now, all the other cars have electronic throttle bodies. I still have an old school cable throttle body. Pull the cable, open up the throttle body. So my curve is very peaky. I mean, it flattens out a bit because we spent days and days on the dyno with my tuner, killing timing and adjusting fuel to try to flatten out the power band, because all that GLTC cares about is the peak horsepower number. Remember that. Not like NASA where they take an area under the curve calculation. So flat power, I don't have that. All the other cars have that nice flat power. Nikki B is going like this. So I'm losing anytime I'm off peak power. The S54, I will have peak power available anytime I want it, just like EMAG, just like Kutil, just like Andy Smedgard, just like most of the other cars. Huge deal.
So once all of that is done to your car and you're ready to go, like what is your what's your testing plan? Or do you think that you just like jump in, you use to the car anyway? Or do you need an adjustment period for that?
That's a great question. Yeah, it would be like a couple test days at Lime Rock Park. Probably maybe some tweaks to the shocks, maybe to the rear roll bar, and make sure that the car runs and accelerates properly. But that's it. The S54 engine is a little bit heavier. It's like 50 pounds heavier on the front. But with the custom motor mounts, another thing I will do is move the engine back a little bit, and I have a lightweight carbon fiber hood all set to go, and some other stuff to get more weight off the car. So yeah, there will be some testing needed, but yeah, in a couple days it'll be good.
All right. Let me interrupt here because we got kind of way off topic here.
In a podcast,
not off
we got
topic.
off topic.
Not off topic. Not off topic as so much as we kind of skipped over like the real.
Was there
big
another
deal,
race?
right? There was a race 4. There was a race
What?
4. Now, before we go into race 4, just like all the other races, we told Nick, hey, listen, just focus on going out and doing you, right? Don't worry about the other guys. Don't worry about defending. Don't worry about this. Just go out and do you, right? So race 4 was based on the winner of race 3, which ended up being, we never talked about this actually, the winner of race 3 ended up blowing the dyno. His horsepower rating, his claimed horsepower rating, was way higher than what he should have done, right? And it was by a significant amount. So what happened is he was disqualified. So now the second place person moved up to first, which was Eric Teal. Third place moved to second, which was Nick, and then fourth place moved to third, which was EMAG. Correct? No,
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry.
Right.
EMAG and Eric were switched.
Right, exactly. So
sorry,
I
EMAG and Eric were
fourth,
switched.
Then I got promoted to third. Yeah.
So Nick got promoted to third. So what happens with the fourth race is the first place guy rolls a dice, and that's the invert, right? So whatever number the dice rolls on, that person starts in first. So we're standing in our Nick's area, in our paddock area, and I'm not sure. I didn't know because for some reason I wasn't getting the text messages, but we had somebody come over and say, "Hey, congratulations, Nick, you're going to start P1." Right, as we're chatting about strategy and what Nick is going to do out there. So it ended up being that Nick started P1 for race number 4. So I ran up on the hill, and because there's a really good spot where you can sit and you can watch coming into turn 1, through turn 1, most of turn 1, through 2, through 3, the exit of 3 onto the that's the Newman Straight back there that you can see the beginning of, right? So I ran up there. Nick went out and did his thing. Nick, why don't you talk us through race number 4?
All right. Do you want the whole thing start to finish, or do you want me to talk about the battles? And
I mean, there's nothing that happened during it, so why don't we just do the whole thing? That won't take
yeah, let's do
time.
the whole thing, start to finish.
I mean,
let's do the whole thing.
It's just it's just a parade lap. I mean, nobody did anything special.
Oh man, all right. So it all started back in October of 2025. I'm in the grid, and everything that happened between now and then, between then and now, kind of rolled through my mind. I was feeling very thankful and gracious in the moment for my crew to be there, and said, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it right. We're gonna do everything we can to get the best result possible, and this is our last opportunity. So race starts on pole. I've done this a million times. The goal was to get a good jump, immediate reaction time, get the tree, be on the light, as they say. Green flag drops. I think I outreacted all of my competitors around me. Got
Yes,
a nice
you did.
clean. Thank you, sir. Nice clean run down to turn 1. Had EMAG next to my door. He pulled back a car length and a half after kind of treeing him. Deep on the brakes, won the braking battle, cleared him through turn 1. Proceeded to pull out a slight gap for a couple laps. Held good pace, and EMAG, who I think might have put on 2 fresh tires, I'm not sure, starts to come back on me. Defended hard against EMAG for a few laps, him getting big slips and big runs on me down the exit of the downhill. Always defended hard onto the inside. Finally, he got his best run through the downhill. I didn't even really make a mistake. He just did a great run and exited behind me, and was able to clear me with some big acceleration into 1. Braking duel went around the outside, basically had me cleared, and sort of, to his credit, squeezed me a bit actually into T1, and I had to concede. So hard defense, but held him off for a few laps. Then Eric Teal was behind me. Was able to stay in front of him for a few laps. Defended hard against him, doing late braking into 1. All over me, but never put a foot wrong. Defended hard. He got a decent run on me with maybe 5 laps to go. Did a nice slipstream move past the start finish line. I went onto the inside gradually. He stayed right in my toe, and then ducked out at the last second to get a wide arc into turn 1. And he carried a beautiful outside line on me. I did a late break defensive move to claim the inside apex. For those that don't know, basically turn 1 is a double apex. I did my mark super late braking right on the limit, and we went through turn one side by side. He was able to get just on my rear bumper, left rear bumper, exiting turn one to driver's left, and had just a nose on me down the short chute to the left-hander. I recognized that. Again, rules of engagement. Gave him just one car width spot, and then we dove into the left-hander together. I gave him just enough width on the inside. Both went in deep on the brakes into the left-hander. We actually broke maybe 5 feet later than we normally did, because what you have to do is make sure you claim your line. I couldn't risk braking early and then giving him an option to clear me mid-corner. Okay, so I'm gonna try to park my car in the middle of the corner. Eric has to try to park his car on the apex without us slowing down. We both trailed in, beautiful braking on the nose, turned in both of our cars. I encourage everyone that wants to watch this, watch our cars both rotate on the axis unnaturally. It was driver induced simultaneously through the entry of the left-hander. We both go through the left-hander side by side. He takes curb, and I'm kind of out in the marbles a bit, but he's constrained and overslowed. I have a little bit more margin to work with. So we kind of went back and forth right there in the middle of the corner. I had a little bit of an exit speed jump, got to the outside. We take the right-hander side by side now, all the way out to the rumble strips, and it gets sketchy out there. Eric went out to the strips. I gave him just enough room, and I had a little bit of a run on the exit there. We go side by side all the way down the back straight. S52 honking away, right? I'm probably hitting 6,900 RPM. K24, he shifts, of course, with his close ratio transmission. I maybe had a nose at the start. He maybe might have got just next to me for uphill entry. And I have to give him the line. I gave him just a car width at the entry. And the way that the uphill works, it's kind of an early apex. So actually, to be on the inside in a battle is a little bit of a disadvantage, because he could take like a wider arc and keep up his speed. Again, I have to respect the rules of engagement. So just on the limit, took a little curb up the hill. He had maybe just a couple mile an hour, went through the crest of the uphill side by side. Maybe he was a half car ahead, right on the limit, little bit of counter steer on the uphill, and then he had just enough to get me cleared by the exit of the uphill. That was the Coutil battle. Would you like me to pause, or I could just go right to the end now? Keep going.
So no, I think we should continue on right to the end. Now, before he talks about this, there was a lot of us up in the stands that that were around watching all these battles and enjoying all these battles, because they were really, really good battles. But what happened next, there was a few of us that kind of saw it coming a couple laps before it actually happened. So go ahead, Nick, and finish out this race.
All right. So I think there was 3 laps, maybe 4 laps left at the most. 4 laps left, 4 laps left. And so now you're in a situation, right, where I have now battled and defended against EMAG. That forced EMAG to use up his tires a little bit. Now EMAG was able to pull away a little bit because I defended hard against Coutil. So EMAG's still in sight up the road, but now Eric has used up his tires as well a bit in order to get by me. So now it's Eric Coutil, and this is maybe his last shot. He maybe was going to go to Laguna Seca if the point situation presented itself, but this is kind of like his last chance. I think if he gets by and beats Eric Magnussen, he might win the championship, if not close. So Eric knows he has the faster car. He knows he can run down EMAG, and he proceeds to take off. So he takes off, and he gets a little bit closer on that lap, and then next lap, and then basically with 2 laps to go, he has a shot at Eric Magnussen. He attacks Eric on the brakes into turn one, and I'm right there, 4 car lengths behind maybe. I caught up. Basically, both Eric Coutil and I ran down Eric Magnussen, right? Who now his heavy car, he's fast early, but he fades because he's carrying all that weight. So his car's fading. We both ran him down. We both caught up to EMAG. Katil takes a shot, second to last lap, not really close enough to make anything stick. He concedes and proceeds to tuck behind Eric Magnussen through the left-hander. He slowed down a little bit, gives me an opportunity to pull another car. Emag gets a good run onto the back straight, gets a killer run. I mean, you have to give massive credit to Magnussen. He did not make a mistake all weekend. He gets a killer run through the uphill. Katil's right on him. Killer run through West Bend, solid run through downhill. Katil gets a slipstream run, and even with Eric Katil's acceleration, he doesn't have enough top end pace to clear Eric Magnussen, but he could hang on close enough in the slipstream. Eric Katil makes a great late braking maneuver again around the outside of Magnussen. Magnussen closes him off to cut off the inside run exiting turn 1, which gives Katil an opportunity to get just enough of a run. So there was a velocity delta that at that instantaneous point in time, Katil had a run on Eric Magnussen, getting a run into turn 2, into the left-hander. Eric Magnussen, very cleverly, he knew exactly what he was doing. Didn't block off turn 2 left-hander entry completely. It was one car width. There was one car width of gap entering the left-hander, and that is where Eric Magnussen placed his car. Katil saw the opening. He's under pressure. Maybe he has a chance. He knows he has the brakes on Eric Magnussen and had enough speed delta to maybe just before he could hit the brakes, maybe there was a chance to have some overlap. He took a risk. He decided to do a little braking duel and brake just after Eric Magnussen braked. But just as that occurred, Eric Magnussen online, claiming the one car width outside line, goes and makes his braking and turns in. And as soon as that gap was open, that gap had closed. There was no actual overlap established in the braking zone. Eric Magnussen makes his turn in. At that point, Eric Katil is already committed. It was a mistake. He nips Eric Katil. He nips Eric Magnussen in the left rear tire. Remember, they're both on the limit. They're both 100% of the friction circle. That knocks Eric Magnussen out to driver's right. You see sparks fly.
It was such like a light tap too.
It was a little kiss. Eric Katil was not trying to punt Eric Magnussen.
When you're on the limit, a little tiny touch is all it takes. You could almost throw a Q-tip at a car on the limit.
All it takes.
I literally had to ask Bill to rewind it to make sure I saw what I saw. I'm like, I didn't see them touch. But it was just so much, like just that little bit. It just sent him right off.
That's all you need. It's like you're, for people listening, it's like you're spinning like a ball and centrifugal force is holding the ball on the wire, but it's a really thin wire. And if you just spin that ball a little bit faster, it'll just break off the line. And that's what we're doing out there. So that was Emag, that was Katil, right on the limit of their cars, right on the brakes, and you just start to turn in an incidental touch. But that's all that was needed to knock Emag offline. He knocks Emag offline. Emag does his best, did a heck of a job to keep that car reeled in, goes into the grass, little bit of maintenance throttle, counter steer, drives that thing through the grass. Eric Katil is like, holy crap, smoke flying. He doesn't know what's going on. He's probably like, oh crap, I just made a mistake. He kind of like freezes up for a second. Maybe he's thinking, oh crap, I did something wrong. It was a momentary lapse. And then I was there, 2 car lengths behind, 2.5 maybe at the most, setting up. I was ready for this to happen. Hand to God, I said, the only opportunity I have here is to take advantage of some scrap. And you have to be in a position to take advantage of it. And I was. I saw the smoke. I drove through the smoke. I found the apex. Katil was balked, the car was off. I sent it up the middle. Almost put 2 tires in the dirt on the left-hander curbing. Clean run. And then it was 10/10 full tilt, West Bend, counter steer, right through, right-hander onto the back straight, counter steer, find my apex early to the uphill, full send over the uphill. I check my mirror. Coutil is 4 car lengths back, and I'm saying it's over. It's over. Crest the uphill. The gap was even further, and went through West Bend. Checked my mirror again, and actually Coutil had given up. Not like, oh, what was me, but he said, "There's no way I'm catching Barbato." And then I go through the downhill, and I know it's over at that point. I find that checkered flag, and I'm just gonna go ahead and cruise over to driver's right, fist pump, giving a shout out in case there any of my crew was on the wall. And then it was a motion dump, screaming, hand fist, just roar, just primal. And then so that happened. And then I would just like to say, like, I went through that emotion, and then in the post-race debrief with my crew and everything, it was like, how did that happen? If I hadn't defended as hard as I could against EMAG doesn't get away. EMAG got away. I defended against Coutil. If I had just let Coutil go, Eric has 8 laps to try to deal with EMAG. I put Coutil in a desperate situation with EMAG to try to get a championship, to try to get a win. If I hadn't defended hard but fair, this opportunity would not have been created. I wasn't going to beat these guys on raw pace. I made an opportunity and had to be there, back against the wall with all the racecraft, with all the driving that I could muster, to try to create an opportunity. And then if that opportunity exists, take advantage of it. And that's what happened. It was one of the most epic wins of my entire racing career.
Crazy. It was crazy to watch. It was like
sitting here on the edge of my seat just listening to you.
We were like, we had to rewind it a couple times just to watch everything that happened. I'm like, did I just see what I just saw? It was
you should have seen it. You should have seen it there in person.
Wow.
So it was pretty spectacular. It was a pretty incredible thing, right? Like, before Nick went into race 4, I had said that we had talked about Nick doing what he needed to do, right? And being there, being in a position, staying close, because again, he doesn't fall off like some of the other cars or drivers. That allowed him, doing what he does, to be in a position where if anything happens, he's picking up the pieces, right? He's gone through. And it was pretty spectacular. So Amy and I are up in the stands where, Amy, Nick's wife, and we're jumping up and down, we're screaming and yelling as soon as it all happened. And we go running down because we wanted to catch all the cars coming off track.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick comes off track, and Nick and I shared quite a special moment. He stopped as he came through to head over to impound, and he and I shared quite a special moment before he got over to impound to be able to get out of the car. And it was a pretty spectacular end to an already awesome weekend.
It was crazy. So, just watching that was almost like something you would see in a movie. It really was. Like, it was just so bizarre to watch that happen. And like I said, we just had to keep rewinding it just to go see. Like, that was probably the most fun I think I've ever seen watching GLTC and watching that ending, because like you said, that you struggled through to make some of those things happen, and watching it was amazing. It was just utterly amazing.
Wow, that's so awesome to hear that, and thank you for sharing that. That's what it felt like. Honestly, that's what it felt like in the car, and we're not, we're not racing for the F1 World Championship, but that doesn't mean this stuff isn't meaningful, and to put yourself through it, you have to take the risk. You have to go through the pain and suffering and the struggle, and that makes the victory that much sweeter. And look, even if the win didn't come, it still would have been an amazing weekend. I would have shared great joy, and probably would have been almost as happy to spend and accomplish what we accomplished with everybody there. But to have it happen the way that it happened, like that, I just I don't know. like I was joking around with my brother. Like I said, Joe, I haven't seen in a while, my twin brother. I was like, I was like, I've dreamed this. God, I'm sorry. I have to hold back some emotion here. Sorry. But because he hadn't come and seen me race like really ever, and I said, Joe, like if you show up, it's going to be the prophecy. I think it'll happen, and it did. He was there. He was there. Yeah,
Was he
So,
was
it was
I
did
awesome.
he
can't
have
wait to see this level of emotion with you. Like that's just so incredible.
Yeah.
so what was his reaction when all that happened? Just
He was screaming like I've never heard him scream before. And it was so crazy because it you in life, right? You should never let your own happiness be dictated by the emotions or the judgment of others, right? You have to live your own life, okay? But like I watched a bunch of videos of people in the stands that like watched that happen, and like their reaction to me passing for the lead, like hearing people scream like yeah, and like wow, like there were, like I got to share this experience with a bunch of humans, that were just as into it. Again, yeah, whether or not I won or lost, it's like from that perspective is irrelevant. But like seeing people invested in that and like sharing in this great battle, it's like being, I would imagine it was like, being like a fighter in the Roman Coliseum or something. And to get so excited over just this grassroots battle, like, it's like this, just a bunch of guys, sacrificing their lives to just put on a battle, and, may the best man win. And it was just well executed. It had all of the drama, and I have so much respect
right.
for those guys too. I mean, this time, and I mean, you guys know how it is, like the sacrifice, the time it takes to get ready, to build the car, to prep it, all the other stuff.
Just
It's
to
like
get there. Just to get there.
just to get there. It's like a glacier, like what everyone else sees is just the small little part poking through the surface. It's everything else underwater that nobody else sees. So all that, so we're all putting it on the line, and man, just to go through and have it end that way, I'll just never forget that for the rest of my life, from top to bottom. And to have everyone there to share it with, like in pound, like wow.
You must have been on you're probably still running on a high.
I am. I got like, I had a couple drinks, people are feeding me, high-end Japanese whiskey in the paddock. And I don't drink a lot, so I got like a few hours of sleep. Yeah, I went to bed at 1 o'clock. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We were staying at a little bed and breakfast down the road, and I just made a coffee in the morning at 5 a.m. and there was a nice like gazebo out, and I just sat down. Oh man, got emotion. Sorry. I just like, it was like the sun had just risen, and I barely got any sleep, and I'm just drinking some coffee, just enjoying like the birds and just like reflecting on everything.
Probably
So,
thinking like, did that just really happen?
yeah, yeah. It's just it was just because look, I just like I've won a bunch of big NASA races and stuff at Lime Rock Park, lap records, epic wins, but like I had a dream to win like a big race, like like a spectator race at Lime Rock, and it was like that was all I wanted. I just I didn't even need to win the whole weekend, just win a race at Lime Rock, and like I had the dream and I achieved it.
Whew.
What a feeling.
Wow.
Like a
Yep.
movie script.
It
Yeah.
was like a
Amazing.
movie script. It was
It was
nuts.
pretty
What
spectacular
an
weekend.
incredible story.
So you're going to be there next year.
I'm
It's a new
definitely going to
car.
be there next year. I hope you guys come. Hope you
Yeah.
guys
Oh, we'll
come.
be there for next year. Absolutely. But I do have a question. So during the race, I watched a car like just literally launch on a turn. It was in the section. I don't know if it was
Are you
in the
talking about
back
the
end.
uphill, the car that flipped over?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Audra, what had happened is that one of the black, it was a black, I think it was a black BMW, I think it was, but they have a particular part where it's an uphill. It's not a big uphill, but it's an uphill. But he got so light, and I don't know what happened, but that sucker just launched and then rolled.
No, what happened is he never even made it to the crest of the hill.
No,
He had a wheel bearing failure.
at
And
speed.
no, he was, well, it happened beforehand, but he was slowing down, or he said he was slowing down. His pace didn't really look like a slowing down
No, it did
pace.
not. No.
And he went into the turn and went to touch the brakes to slow the car down, and it didn't work. And he just drove straight up into the wall right before the crest of the hill. And just the way he impacted the wall, it just, the tires and everything got under